I sat at the kitchen counter, coffee mug in hand, staring at the credit card statement spread out before me. I could feel the tension rising in my chest, a knot I couldn't untangle. There were charges, big charges. Almost $800 at a couple of fancy restaurants, a few boutique purchases scattered in between. Not stuff Sarah would normally go for. Not without saying anything. She was at the stove, humming softly as she scrambled eggs. The smell of them filled the air, but it wasn't comforting. Everything felt off, like I was standing on uneven ground, and I knew she could tell. "Hey, Sarah, can we talk about this?" I gestured at the statement, trying to keep my voice even. Her shoulders stiffened, and she didn't turn around. "What now?" I took a deep breath, trying to keep calm. "I noticed some charges on your credit card. These restaurants and boutique shops. It's a lot. What's going on?" She set the spatula down, but didn't look at me. "Ben, seriously? Are you really going to sit here and micromanage me like this?" Her voice was sharp, almost a snap. "I wasn't expecting that. I'm just asking. I mean, $800's a lot of money, and It's my money, Ben." She cut me off, spinning to face me now, her hands on her hips. "You've got no right to tell me how to spend it. If I want to go out and treat myself, I will." Her eyes were fire. "I don't need you breathing down my neck, okay?" I felt that simmering frustration, but I didn't want to push her. "Not today. Not yet. I'm just trying to understand. We're in this together, right?" She scoffed, rolling her eyes like I was the one being unreasonable. "Stop acting like I'm doing something wrong. You're so controlling sometimes. You know that?" I didn't say anything. I wanted to, but it wasn't the time. I just wanted her to hear me out. But the way she was dismissing me, it was like I was the one who had done something wrong. With a huff, she turned back to the stove, the eggs now burned in the pan. "Whatever, Ben. I've got things to do." She picked up her phone and started scrolling, clearly done with the conversation. I didn't know what else to say, so I stayed quiet. The silence between us felt cold, heavier than before, like the air had thickened. And I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just been dismissed, not only by her, but by everything that used to make sense between us. I sipped my coffee, trying to focus, but the knot in my stomach kept twisting tighter. The next morning, I woke up with the same weight pressing down on me. Sarah hadn't said a word since yesterday, not even a glance. I tried to keep things normal, to not let the silence drag me down, but it was like walking on eggshells, unsure of which move would crack everything wide open. I found her sitting at the kitchen table, her coffee steaming in front of her, the soft click of her phone keys the only sound. She didn't even acknowledge me when I walked in. Not even a glance. "Morning," I said, trying to sound casual. "You sleep okay?" She didn't look up. "Mm-hmm," was all she offered, her fingers tapping the phone screen faster, like I wasn't even there. I stood there for a second, a knot of frustration tightening in my chest. I could have let it go, let the silence take its course, but I needed some kind of connection. I needed to feel like she still saw me. "So, what's on the agenda today?" I asked, leaning against the counter. She didn't answer, just kept scrolling through her feed. I stood there, looking at her, really looking at her, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was slipping away, like the space between us had already turned into a canyon. By dinner, I was starting to wonder if she even remembered I existed. We sat across from each other at the table, but it felt like I was miles away. She didn't ask about my day, didn't look at me once. She was too busy tapping out whatever conversation was happening on her phone, posting some picture, and scrolling through stories like she was in a world of her own. I pushed my food around on my plate, lost in my own thoughts. I'd been trying to stay calm, trying not to let the isolation swallow me whole, but it was getting harder. She barely acknowledged my presence. Hell, it felt like I was invisible. I reached for my glass of water, tapping the rim with my fingers, watching the ice clink against the glass. "Sarah, are you even going to talk to me today?" I asked, frustration creeping in despite myself. Her eyes flicked up, just for a second. The briefest moment of recognition. Then she dropped her gaze back to her phone, fingers moving quicker, tapping out some words I wasn't a part of. "Not hungry anymore," she muttered, pushing her plate away and getting up from the table. I didn't know what to say to that. I could have gotten angry, but I just couldn't. It was like trying to yell at a brick wall that didn't even care you were there. I felt my stomach twist, the emptiness of it all settling in my bones. I couldn't remember the last time we'd had a real conversation, a moment that wasn't a quick exchange of words or some half-hearted attempt at making it work. And the worst part? I wondered how long this was going to go on. Was this her way of punishing me? Making me feel small? I couldn't tell if I was being overly sensitive or if something deeper was happening. Something I hadn't even noticed creeping up on us until now. The days dragged on, the silence heavier with every passing hour. She spoke only when necessary, her answers short, clipped. I could feel the chill between us, thick and suffocating. I tried to fill the space, asking about her day, offering to help with whatever. But it didn't matter. She was gone, emotionally checked out. I could feel her slipping through my fingers, like I was watching a slow-motion car crash I couldn't stop. And I couldn't shake the thought. How long is she going to keep this up? How long until this silent treatment became the only thing we had left between us? And why the hell was I letting it happen? I wasn't even sure anymore. It was late afternoon when I overheard Sarah on the phone, her voice sharp and excited in a way that made my stomach twist. She was sitting in the living room, her back to me as I half waited for her to notice me, half waited for her to just keep ignoring me like she had been doing. The phone call was with her mom, and from what I could hear, she was deep into planning a birthday dinner, her birthday dinner. "Yeah, I was thinking the park view would be perfect. We'll get the private room, the big one, for about 12 people. Maybe more if everyone can make it. I want it to be a real event, you know? And I want to make sure it's something special. The filet mignon's incredible, but I'll have to see if they can do something a little fancier." She paused, then added, "I think the total will be around $1,200, but it's worth it for the group. I mean, it's my birthday." I froze. My hand gripped the back of the couch as I tried to process what I was hearing. $1,200 for a dinner, her dinner. And it wasn't just the cost, it was the entire way she was going about it, like I wasn't even a part of it. She laughed at something her mom said, and I heard her slide her hand through her hair before she added, "I'll send out invites soon. Ben's got his own thing going on, so he won't mind being left off the list. Right? Ben's got his own thing going on?" I swallowed hard, my throat tightening. I don't know what I expected her to say, but it sure wasn't that. I stood there for a second, waiting for her to finish the call, but I couldn't move. The words were already burned into my mind. She hadn't even mentioned me when she was arranging the dinner. Not once. Her voice dropped lower as she continued talking, and I knew she was getting into the details. I heard nothing about me, not even a hint of, "Hey, I should check with Ben about this first." And for the first time, I felt something break inside me. She was doing it again, excluding me. She was making big decisions on her own, leaving me out of the loop like I didn't matter. I wasn't just being ignored anymore. I was being actively erased from the things that should matter to both of us. The call finally ended, and she hung up, her footsteps light on the hardwood as she moved into the kitchen. I stayed frozen in the living room, trying to put together what I had just heard. I didn't know if I should confront her about it or let it go. But what was there to let go? I wasn't invited, I wasn't consulted, and I sure as hell wasn't considered. It was like I didn't even exist when it came to her big plans. I wanted to ask, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" But I knew the answer already. She didn't have to. She didn't have to include me in anything she was doing. It was her world, and I was just supposed to fit in wherever she decided I should. I heard the fridge door open, and Sarah hummed as she went about her business, pulling out ingredients for dinner, like nothing had changed. But I could feel it. The distance, the hurt, the way she had just made a decision, her decision, and left me out. The dinner wasn't just about money, though. That wasn't the thing eating at me. I didn't care about the $1,200. It wasn't even about her mom or the guest list. It was about how she made those decisions with no regard for me. It was about the complete lack of respect. And it hurt in a way I couldn't even explain. How had we gotten here? She was still humming, oblivious to the storm building inside me. I walked into the kitchen, forcing my voice to stay calm. "So, I heard you're planning a big dinner for your birthday." She looked up, eyes flicking to me for a moment, before she shrugged. "Yeah, this is going to be fun. I'll send you the details." Her tone was casual, almost dismissive. I stood there, staring at her, waiting for something, anything. But she just went back to chopping vegetables, her attention already elsewhere. I didn't get a say in any of it. Not the restaurant, not the people, not even the fact that she was planning something I wasn't a part of. I wasn't sure what hurt more, the fact that I was left out, or the fact that she didn't seem to care enough to hide it. I felt that old sense of being invisible creeping back in, the one I tried so hard to shake. But it was there again, hanging thick in the air. And now I was wondering how much longer I could keep pretending that everything was fine. The day of the dinner arrived, and I didn't feel like pretending anymore. I'd spent the morning dragging my feet around the house, listening to the noise in my head and the silence between us. The tension was thick, suffocating, and I couldn't take it anymore. She was in the bedroom, getting ready. I could hear the faint sound of her voice as she talked to her mom, maybe about the guest list or what to wear. It didn't matter. I wasn't going to be there, and that was the one thing I was sure of. I could have just stayed home, played the role of the dutiful husband, forced myself into a smile, and sat through a dinner where I wasn't wanted. But for the first time in a long while, I realized something. I didn't have to. I grabbed my jacket and keys, moving quietly through the house like I wasn't sure I wanted to be noticed. It was an odd thing, slipping out like that, almost like I was sneaking away. But I wasn't sneaking. I was choosing something else. I was choosing me. The bar was a few miles away, a small place with cheap beer and the kind of dim lighting that made everything feel a little less sharp. I sat down at the bar, ordered a beer, and turned my attention to the game on the TV. The crowd's roar and the crackle of the announcers filled the space, but it felt far more peaceful than anything at home. The coolness of the beer in my hand, the hum of conversation around me, it was all a welcome escape. For the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't worried about saying the wrong thing or being ignored, dismissed, or forgotten. I looked at my phone. A dozen missed calls from Sarah, and at least twice that many texts. Most of them were brief, just "Where are you?" or "You're coming, right?" A couple more with angry question marks. One even read, "If you don't come, this is over." I couldn't help but feel a flicker of satisfaction. For the first time, I wasn't the one chasing her. I wasn't the one trying to make things work while she pulled away. I was just done. I didn't respond. Not right away. I just sat there, leaning back in my chair, watching the game, letting the rhythm of the night settle over me. The sound of her panic ringing through my phone was a distant echo, and it was almost soothing. I was finally free from the weight of her silence. Then my phone rang again. Sarah, this time calling. I stared at the screen for a moment, my thumb hovering over the green button. It felt almost wrong, but in the best possible way, to let it ring out. But I answered. "What the hell, Ben?" Sarah's voice was frantic, panicked, and sharp. "Where are you? You're supposed to be here. I told you this was important." I leaned back, taking a sip of my beer before I spoke. "I'm having dinner elsewhere." Her voice cracked. "What? You're ditching me?" "No, I'm not ditching you," I said calmly. "I'm just not going. This is your decision, Sarah. You're the one who's made it clear you don't need me for things like this." I could hear her breathing change, a mix of disbelief and anger. "You're really doing this? You're just going to give up?" I almost laughed, but I didn't. I wasn't sure if it was because I was still holding on to something, or because I didn't know what to feel. "I'm not giving up, Sarah. I'm just not playing this game anymore." "This is your fault," she snapped. "You're making it all about you. You don't care about me, about my birthday, about anything." I didn't raise my voice, didn't let the anger swell. I was calm. Too calm, maybe. "You want to make this about my actions? Fine. But this is your doing, not mine. I'm not the one leaving you out of things. I'm not the one acting like I don't exist." There was a long pause on the other end, just silence. Then she spoke again, quieter this time. So what now? Are you really done? I felt the question hit me in a way I hadn't expected. She was trying to reel me back in, trying to shift the blame onto me. And for a second, it almost worked. But I wasn't going to let it. Not anymore. I'm not done, Sarah. But I can't keep pretending that everything's okay when it's not. You've been shutting me out, and I'm done pretending I don't see it. I waited for her to say something, but the call dropped, and all I could hear was the buzz of the empty line. I put my phone down, exhaling slowly, letting the reality of the moment sink in. I had stood up for myself, and for the first time, it felt like something irreversible had shifted. The game played on in the background, but I wasn't watching anymore. My mind was still on that phone call, still processing what I just said and what it meant. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't walking away from her. I was walking away from the version of me I had been in this relationship. Quiet, passive, waiting for her to see me, to choose me. And I was okay with that. The next morning, I was sitting on the couch, still feeling that strange sense of peace. The silence in the house was deafening, but it didn't feel like a weight anymore. Felt like a choice. Then my phone rang. I looked at the screen. Mark, Sarah's brother. I had a pretty good idea what this was about, but I answered anyway. Ben. Mark's voice was careful, measured, like he was walking on eggshells. Hey, man. Is everything okay with you and Sarah? She's been acting different. I don't know. She's kinda upset, and I just wanted to check in. I sat up, bracing myself. I'm fine, Mark. I'm just doing my thing. It's not about me, it's about her. He let out a breath, like he wasn't sure if he should press me more. Yeah, well, she's telling everyone you're being unreasonable about this whole thing. The dinner, the money, everything. She's upset that you didn't show up, and now she's acting like you're the one causing all this tension. I don't know, man. I just wanted to hear your side of it. I felt my chest tighten. She's telling people I'm the problem? My voice was calm, but inside, my blood was starting to boil. Mark, the issue isn't the dinner or the money. Hell, I don't even care about that. It's about how she's been treating me. She's been shutting me out for weeks. The way she talks to me, the way she excludes me from everything like I'm invisible. And I'm not playing along anymore. There was a pause on the other end of the line. A long one. I could hear him shuffling around, maybe trying to figure out how to respond. I didn't realize it was that bad, he said slowly. She's always had a way of twisting things. I didn't think it would be like this. I thought maybe you were just, not seeing eye to eye about a few things. I couldn't keep the edge out of my voice. It's not just a few things, Mark. It's been this way for a while now. I've been trying to talk to her, but she doesn't listen. Every time I bring something up, I'm either too controlling or too sensitive. She's been making decisions without me. For me, like I don't matter. I get it, man. I do, Mark said, his tone softer now. It's just, I didn't think she'd go this far. Telling everyone that you're the problem. I leaned back against the couch, trying to settle my nerves. I'm not looking for drama. I just want respect, man. I want to be treated like I matter, like we're a team. And right now, I feel like I'm not even in the picture. Mark sighed, and I could almost hear the wheels turning in his head. Look, I'm not trying to take sides, but Sarah's been unpredictable, I think she's just frustrated. And I get it, this whole thing with the dinner, it probably hit her hard that you didn't show up. But I had no idea it was this deep. I'm sorry, Ben. I didn't know it was this bad between you two. I wasn't looking for an apology. But hearing him say it made something in me loosen. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Thanks for hearing me out, Mark. I just want her to understand that I'm not the one making this hard. I'm not the one making it impossible to be heard. Yeah, I can see that, he said quietly. I'll talk to her, man. I'll do what I can to get her to see it. But I don't know how far it's gonna go, She's a tough one to crack when she's in a mood like this. I know. But I'm done being the one who has to fix everything, I said. She has to see that I matter too. Yeah, well, good luck with that, Mark muttered, trying to keep it light. If anyone can make her see things differently, it's probably gonna be you. I wasn't sure about that, but I appreciated the sentiment. We hung up soon after, and I sat there for a while, staring at my phone, feeling a little lighter. Talking to Mark had felt like I was finally being heard, even if it was just for a minute. But as much as I felt better after that conversation, I knew that this wasn't over. If anything, it was just the beginning. Later that day, Sarah's mother called, and I knew it was coming. She was always quick to jump in when things got messy. Her voice was sweet but laced with concern. "Ben, honey, I heard you and Sarah are having some trouble. Is everything okay? She's really upset, and I don't like to see her like this." I leaned back in the chair, rubbing my hand over my face. "I'm not the one causing trouble, Mrs. Lawrence. Sarah's been shutting me out for weeks, and I just can't keep pretending I don't see it anymore." There was a long silence on the other end. "Oh, Ben," she said, her voice soft with sympathy. "I didn't realize it was so bad. She's always been a bit headstrong, but I didn't know she was treating you like this." "You know, I've tried to talk to her about it," I said, keeping my tone even. "But every time I do, it's like I'm the one who's in the wrong. I just need her to respect me, to see that I'm not just some background character in her life. I'm here too. I can't say I didn't see this coming, Ben. She can be difficult when things aren't going her way. But I'll talk to her, I promise. I don't want to see you two go through this." "Thanks, Mrs. Lawrence. I appreciate that," I said, my throat tight. "But I've already talked to her. She has to make her own choice. I'm just not going to keep pretending things are okay when they're not." By the end of both conversations, I felt something shift. Like Sarah's carefully crafted narrative was starting to unravel, piece by piece. I wasn't sure what would happen next, but it didn't matter. I'd said my piece, and the weight that had been sitting on my chest for so long had finally lifted. It was her turn to face the truth now. The next morning, just as I was finishing my coffee, my phone rang. I didn't need to check the screen to know who it was. "Ben, honey, it's Sarah's mom. I wanted to talk to you for a minute." Her voice was sweet, but there was an edge to it now, a concern or maybe guilt. I could hear her trying to keep it soft, trying not to sound too harsh. "Sure," I said, leaning back in my chair, already knowing where this was going. "What's up?" I wanted to get a better sense of what's going on between you two," she said, the words coming slowly, like she was trying to figure out how to ask without pushing too hard. "Sarah's really upset. She's telling everyone you've shut her out, that you've been distant and that you're just not there for her. But I know you're a good man, Ben, so I was wondering if you could share your side. I just don't want to see her hurting." I could feel the frustration boiling up inside me. Sarah had done this so many times, twisted the truth until it fit her narrative. But this time, I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I took a deep breath before speaking. "Honestly, Mrs. Lawrence, I've been the one getting shut out. I've been trying to talk to Sarah for weeks, but she's been ignoring me. And it's not just about the dinner or the money. It's the way she's been treating me, the silent treatment. She's been controlling, making decisions without even consulting me, like I'm not a part of this marriage anymore." I could hear her breathing on the other end, a long pause that stretched out before she spoke again, quieter now. "I had no idea it had gotten this bad. I knew Sarah could be difficult sometimes, but this doesn't sound like her at all. I've tried to talk to her, but every time I do, she turns it around and makes me feel like I'm the problem," I continued, the words coming easier now that I was finally being honest about it. "She's been lying about things, like the charges on the credit card, and I'm not stupid. I know what's going on. She's been dishonest." There was another long silence. I could hear her sigh deeply, her tone shifting to one of sympathy. "I'm so sorry, Ben. That's not the way it should be. No one should be treated like that in a marriage. And I don't want you to feel like you're the one causing trouble. I just want respect," I said, the words finally coming out without hesitation. "I can't keep pretending that everything's fine when it's not. I need her to see that I'm not okay with how she's been treating me. And I can't keep letting her manipulate me into thinking it's all my fault." "I understand, Ben. I really do," she said softly, almost as if she were comforting herself. "But you're right. This behavior isn't normal. And I'm not saying I know what the answer is, but maybe I can talk to her. Maybe she just needs someone else to see what's really happening. She has a way of pushing people away when she feels cornered. But that doesn't make it right. Thanks, Mrs. Lawrence, I said, feeling a strange sense of relief wash over me. I just needed someone to hear me out. I'm not trying to cause drama. I just can't keep pretending like this is okay. I'll talk to her, Ben. I'll try to get through to her. But I can't promise anything. I know, I said, feeling a little lighter. I just needed to say my piece. When I hung up, I realized something. The weight that had been pressing down on me for so long was starting to lift. The truth was out now. Sarah's manipulation wasn't going to work on me anymore. It wasn't even about winning or losing. It was about me finally standing up for myself. The door opened just then, and Sarah stepped inside, her presence filling the room with that familiar tension. She dropped her purse on the counter, then froze when she saw me sitting there, waiting. Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't say anything. The silence between us felt different now, heavier, like she knew something had changed. "Where were you last night?" she asked, her voice tight, though I could tell she was trying to keep it calm. "I was out," I said, keeping my tone steady. "I needed some space." She crossed her arms, her gaze flicking to the door like she was ready to leave the conversation at any moment. "I don't understand why you're acting like this. You didn't even show up for my birthday, Ben." I didn't flinch. "It wasn't about the birthday, Sarah. It was about how you've been treating me for weeks. The silence, the exclusion. It's not okay." She blinked, taken aback, but didn't back down. "I've been stressed out. I'm dealing with a lot. But that doesn't mean you can just shut me out like this." "No, Sarah," I said, my voice firmer now. "You've been shutting me out. You've been controlling everything from the money to the decisions about your birthday, and I'm done letting you do it. I'm done pretending everything's fine when it's not." Her eyes flashed with something. Frustration, maybe anger, but it didn't faze me anymore. "I don't know what you want from me," she said, her voice quieter now, almost defeated. "I want you to respect me," I said, standing up from the couch, my voice steady. "I want you to stop making me the bad guy when all I've been doing is trying to be heard." There was a long pause. She didn't say anything, just stood there, eyes narrowed, as if she were weighing her options. And for the first time, I realized something. The silent treatment, the coldness, the control. None of it felt like power anymore. Felt desperate, like she was trying to hold on to something she was losing. And I wasn't going to let her. Later that afternoon, I was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the bank statements. I had been going through them for the past 20 minutes, but something didn't add up. I found the charge Sarah had mentioned to her brother, the one for the supposed emergency car repair. It was for $600, and she had told Mark that she was in a panic, that the car had broken down, and she needed help covering the cost. But when I looked closer, something caught my eye. A couple of days after the repair charge, there was another $300 spent at a high-end clothing store. And then, a week later, another $200 at a restaurant. I felt my chest tighten. I already knew the answer before I even picked up the phone, but I still had to ask. I dialed Sarah's number, and when she picked up, her voice sounded distant, distracted. "Yeah. Hey, Sarah, can we talk about something?" She sighed, like she was already tired of this conversation. "What now, Ben?" I took a breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "I was looking at the bank statements. You told Mark you needed money for a car repair. But I saw other charges after that, things you didn't mention, like shopping, a dinner." I could almost feel her stiffen on the other end of the line. "What are you talking about?" I wasn't going to back down this time. "I'm talking about the $600 you said you needed for the car, and then the shopping spree a few days later. That doesn't add up." "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, her voice rising slightly. "I needed to buy some new clothes for the party. I wasn't going to show up looking like a mess." "Ben. And the dinner? It's not like you were going to be there anyway." I pressed my lips together, trying to stay calm. "You didn't tell me about any of this, Sarah." You made it sound like you were in financial trouble, like you needed the money for something urgent. But you've been spending like nothing's wrong. Are you seriously going to sit there and accuse me of lying about that? Her tone turned sharp, defensive. It was an emergency, Ben. Things break down. And I didn't think I had to justify every little purchase to you. I shook my head, feeling a mix of anger and disbelief. You lied to your brother about it, Sarah. You made it sound like I wasn't supporting you when the truth is, you've been hiding stuff from me. I don't even know what's real anymore. She was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke again, her voice was tinged with frustration. You're being obsessive, Ben. You're treating me like a criminal over a couple of purchases. You're acting like I've done something terrible, and I don't even know why. You lied, Sarah, I said, each word coming out slower, more deliberate. You lied to me, you lied to your brother, and now you're trying to turn it on me. You're blaming me for wanting the truth, for wanting to know where our money is going, and why you felt the need to hide it. Her response was immediate, a sharp, defensive laugh. You're such a control freak, Ben. You always have to be right. You're always trying to make everything about money. Like that's the only thing that matters. It was like a switch had flipped in her. Suddenly, I wasn't just confronting her about the lies. I was the problem. And that familiar feeling of being gaslight hit me all over again. Money isn't the issue, Sarah, I said, my voice rising now, the frustration pouring out. The issue is that you're hiding things from me. You're manipulating me, making me feel like I'm crazy for even questioning it. And I'm done with it. I'm done being the one who has to fix everything when you pull this crap. There was a silence on the other end, a heavy pause where I could feel her trying to find something to say, some way to deflect, but I didn't give her the chance. You can keep blaming me, you can keep acting like I'm the one being unreasonable. I went on, my words sharper now. But the truth is, I'm tired of being treated like I don't matter, like I'm just some afterthought in this marriage. You've been lying and hiding things from me, and I can't keep ignoring it. I didn't lie, she said, her voice now shaking with anger. You don't understand, Ben. You never understand. I do everything, and you are too busy pointing fingers. I didn't let her finish. No, Sarah, you don't get to twist this on me anymore. I'm not the one who's been lying. I'm not the one who's been making decisions on my own, without considering you. I've been trying to work with you, but you keep shutting me out, and I won't stand for it anymore. There was a long, tense silence after that. I didn't know if she was going to yell, cry, or just hang up on me. But whatever it was, I was ready for it. When she finally spoke, her voice was quieter, more resigned. You've made up your mind, haven't you? Yeah, I said, my voice firm. I have. And you're not going to manipulate me into thinking I'm the problem anymore. I see it now, Sarah. I see how deep this goes. She was silent for a long time, the weight of the conversation hanging between us, until she finally muttered something under her breath and hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time after that, trying to process everything. It was clear now this wasn't just about the money or the car repair. It was about control. About her trying to make me feel small, make me question myself, while she got to do whatever she wanted without any accountability. I didn't know how far this was going to go, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let it go on any longer. The next evening, Sarah came home late, her movements slower than usual, as if she were walking on eggshells. When she stepped into the kitchen, I was sitting at the counter, scrolling through my phone, trying to ignore the tension that had been simmering for days. She cleared her throat. Her voice cracked slightly. I thought we could talk. I didn't look up from my phone. I wasn't in the mood for small talk. I wasn't even sure what she thought was going to happen. She took a breath, then started again, this time a little more composed. I made dinner, she said, as if that would make everything better. I thought maybe we could just relax, have some wine, like old times. I finally looked up at her, taking in the way she had dressed. More carefully than usual, wearing that black dress I'd always liked. The one she knew made her look good. She had that careful smile, the one that felt practiced, and it hit me all at once. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't trying to fix things. She was trying to smooth it over with some gesture, hoping I'd forget everything that had happened. Sarah, this isn't about a dinner, I said, my voice low but firm. It's not about wine or whatever else you think will make everything go back to normal. I don't trust you anymore, and I'm not just going to pretend like nothing happened, like everything's fine. Her face fell, but only for a second. Then she shifted, a slight defensiveness creeping into her tone. What do you mean you don't trust me? Ben, you're blowing this all out of proportion. We both overreacted. I shouldn't have lied about the car repair, but I just wanted to fix things. And I thought if I could get you to stop questioning me, we'd be okay again. I stood up from the chair, pushing it back with a harsh scrape against the floor. Stop. You can't keep doing this, Sarah. Every time I bring something up, you act like it's me making everything worse. You lie, you hide things from me, and then you try to buy your way back into my good graces with dinner and wine. It's not working anymore. It's not about overreaction. It's about respect. Her face flushed, and she took a step back, her eyes narrowing. You're so rigid, Ben. Why do you have to turn everything into such a big deal? Why can't you just let things go like normal people do? We're normal, right? You're making this into some huge problem when really it's not that serious. My chest tightened, the words bubbling up with a force I couldn't stop. It's not about being rigid, Sarah. It's about having enough self-respect to not let you walk all over me. You've been manipulating me for months, and I've let you pull all this crap and make me feel like I'm the one in the wrong for asking questions. But I'm not doing it anymore. I'm done with excuses. She shook her head, her jaw clenched, but she still wasn't backing down. You're making everything about you. Why do you have to turn every little thing into this dramatic thing? Why do you have to always be right? Always. I took a step toward her, my voice getting louder now, even though I didn't mean for it to. Because, Sarah, I don't care about always being right anymore. I care about being treated right. And I haven't been. And you can't keep telling me I'm wrong when you're the one doing all the damage. I'm not here for your games anymore. Her eyes widened, and for a second, I saw the mask slip. Just a flash of vulnerability, maybe even fear. But it didn't change anything. Not anymore. You're going to throw all of this away? She asked, her voice shaking now, like she was trying to play the victim. Everything we've built, you're just going to throw it away over this? Just because of a few lies? I stared at her, holding her gaze. You're right. I'm throwing it away. But not just because of the lies. It's everything, Sarah. It's how you've been treating me. How you've been making decisions on your own, excluding me like I don't matter. How you've used guilt and silence to control me. You can't just expect me to fall in line with that anymore. She was quiet for a moment, her lips pressing together, like she was trying to figure out her next move. When she finally spoke, her voice was quieter, almost pleading. So what now? What do you want from me? I didn't have an answer, not one that would make everything better. Not one that would fix it all. But I did know one thing. I want respect. I don't care about grand gestures or fake apologies. I want you to stop thinking you can control everything and everyone around you, including me. I want honesty. And right now, I don't think I can trust you enough to keep pretending we're okay. Her face twisted with frustration, then anger. So that's it? You're just walking away from everything? You think it's that easy? I stood there, steady, even though my heart was racing. No, I'm not walking away. I'm staying here, but only if things change. And right now, I'm not sure I even want to try anymore. You've pushed me to the point where I'm asking myself if this marriage is worth saving. I'm done being afraid of what will happen if you leave, because I've already been walking on eggshells for far too long. I'm done. Her eyes locked on mine for a moment, and I saw something flicker. Maybe realization, maybe regret, but she didn't say anything. She just turned away, her steps slow as she walked out of the room, the silence between us now heavy in a different way. I stood there, staring at the empty doorway, knowing that something had irrevocably shifted. And this time, it wasn't just her choice. It was mine. The next morning, I woke to the sound of a door slamming softly downstairs. I didn't need to check. I already knew what was happening. I heard her footsteps, hurried and quiet, as she packed her things. It didn't take long. When she came upstairs, she didn't look at me. She didn't even say goodbye. Just walked right past, suitcase in hand, and out the door. I stayed sitting there for a few minutes, letting it all sink in. The silence in the house felt different now, heavier but also lighter, somehow. She was gone. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, already knowing it was her mother. Sure enough, when I picked up, her voice was soft, tinged with concern. "Ben, it's Sarah's mom. I just wanted to check in. Is everything okay?" I let out a long breath, my fingers tightening around the phone. "She left. She's gone to stay with you, right?" There was a pause, a small sound of sympathy on the other end. "Yes, she's here. I'm sorry things had to come to this, Ben. I really thought she'd see it differently. But I understand." "I do." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "I don't know what to say anymore. I just couldn't keep living like this. I don't regret standing up for myself, but it's hard, you know?" "I know," she said quietly. "You did what you had to do, but you should know she's really upset. She's been different these last few days. I'll talk to her. Maybe there's still hope, but you need to do what's best for you too. I don't know if I'm ready to just go back to how things were." I admitted, the words tasting bitter as they left my mouth. "I don't think I can do it without real change." "I understand. Take care of yourself, Ben." I hung up, staring at the empty space around me. The peace I felt was strange. Not perfect, not yet, but quieter. I didn't have to look over my shoulder anymore. Didn't have to walk on eggshells. The weight that had been crushing me for so long had lifted, and I finally felt like I could breathe. Days passed. The house stayed empty. My routine became more normal, the tension of the last few months slowly dissolving. I didn't chase after Sarah. Couldn't. Not anymore. I'd been living in a constant state of hoping for change. But now I understood something. It wasn't up to me. She had to change. Then, 3 days later, she reached out. A text, followed by a call, asking if we could talk. I didn't answer right away, but eventually, I picked up. "I'm sorry, Ben," she said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "I know I've messed up. I've been thinking about everything, and I realize now that I've hurt you. I'm sorry for everything." Her words sounded rehearsed, like she was reading from a script. The apology didn't feel genuine, not yet. "I don't know if I can just forgive you, Sarah," I said calmly. "It's not about saying sorry. It's about changing. And I need to know you're willing to show that change, not just tell me about it." She didn't respond right away, and for a moment, I wondered if she was really listening. But then she spoke again, quieter this time. "I don't know how to fix it, Ben, but I want to try. Can we just start over?" I leaned back, letting the silence fill the space between us. Starting over sounds nice, but respect isn't something you just get because you say you want it. It's earned. And right now, I don't know if I trust you enough to start fresh. I need to see actions, not just words. She was quiet for a long time, and I could feel her frustration in the air. But I didn't back down. "I need time, Sarah. I need to figure out if this marriage is worth saving. And right now, I can't even answer that question." I ended the conversation there. I didn't want to hurt her, but I couldn't keep pretending. I couldn't just let her back in without her proving she was willing to change, willing to show up for me the way I had for her. As I set the phone down, I felt the first real sense of clarity I'd had in months. I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't going to settle for anything less than mutual respect, and for the first time in a long time, I knew my worth. Whatever happened next, I was going to be okay.